Yeah, I think overall for season 6, our team is feeling about average. I think we had a great week last week, but we knew that there was 2 games or ones we just needed to win, and I think we came in knowing we can't lose those games.
If you give us time and we get together our whole roster rather than changing it every week, we have a good shot at improving and making a challenging run against INT for the championship.
Ruby just takes that kill, puts it in their pocket. Anti now, dragging forward. This is it. Gonza under assault. You gotta look at Music Boy though. Here comes the Weaver's Wall to the backside. Ruby's got a huge flank.
Doubles a belay, but there's the current. They're going in. That Encore finds 3. They're trying to dive through, but the Zyra stops them in their tracks.
I think Wash picks pretty good champions. They don't always work together very well, but once you give those champions to their quality individual players, they can perform very well. But beyond that, I would fault their team play as the reason behind their current record.
We're planning on our second half to be much better than the first, and I think we've done a lot of homework and self-improvement since week 1, and that makes us, I think, a lot more of a threat in the second half.
The thing that's going to be different this time is that we have a top laner that I have never played a game with before, and so we've been preparing for our matchup this round by playing flex games with our sub top laner and losing pretty much every single one of them. So confidence is high that we're going to just smash Wash, I think.
RLS is a great team. I think they were a great team last season. I think they're a great team this season. And I think what makes them strong is that they have a lot of experience in the league, and I think that's helped them a lot. Obviously, these guys have played and known the competition for a few seasons now and have a good idea on how these games go. But they also have some really solid players, and nobody I really feel is a weak point on their team to exploit. They play really well together, and I think that is a big reason why they're in the top 3.
I think drafting and adapting to changes are things that we're very strong as a team. We've played a million different roster lineups over the course of the past 4 weeks, and that hasn't impacted our team-wide gameplay too much.
I think this time when we face RLS, we've worked on our macro, our communication, our team fight, and team play. I want to say that week 1 Wash was not the Wash team that everyone's used to seeing, and they're right, and I think that shows in that first game we played against RLS. I know a large reason why we lost that game was because of me, and I'd like to say that I've improved since then. Also, our jungler has been practicing smiting target dummies in practice tools, so we shouldn't lose dragons to Seraphine again.
Right here, Seraphine. Oh! What? Steals Mountain Drink! I didn't even know damage objectives. The opponent is going to go down, and it looks like Wash fighting for their lives. Erebus is going to have to live away with God X Anime, and Llama also goes down.
I think as a team, we're really good at making fun of our bald team captain. I think we can all come together as a team and really rally behind the fact that he's bald. Whether we win or lose, we can always just say hair diff.
I tried to think of one, but I can't really think of one. My lane opponent is bald.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our second game of the day. We have revised letter significance against the team with Sad Flower logo. I'm Utility Monster, and I'm joined by Zane Zenzen Nelson on the play-by-play. How are you doing, Zane?
That felt strange to be the second person to talk as the play-by-play, but it felt good. I mean, and after a banger game like the last one that we just saw, I am so hyped to just see more League of Legends today.
I do enjoy seeing League of Legends with my eyeballs. So we already have some bans through. New Maokai, too strong. Wash doesn't want to let it through. Janna, too easy to play. Doesn't want Freelancer to get that. He won some playoff games last season when he was support there, and I believe it will be Freelancer support and carry top. There were some last-minute roster shenanigans, and Misfortune first picked the buffed champion, and instantly we have Tristana Seraphine as the response. My goodness.
Yeah, kicking things off strong. And Seraphine, one of those characters that has developed and has a storied history in Friend or Foe, has that late game healing potential and just extends the life of your teammates so long that it becomes very difficult for teams to win drawn-out engagements. That said, really late sign-up, gonna go ahead and lock in the Curse of the Sad Bullet Time, which is an excellent way to get burst damage down across a large group of people. So I'm very excited to see that. And Ruby might be playing the Swain in the mid lane.
Yeah, that could be a top lane Swain or support Swain and jungle Mumu, but I agree with you, it's almost certainly mid. And then Misfortune and Mumu is a really strong combo, but Tristana is actually a great answer to Misfortune. It's has a better all-in lane, and the ultimate can interrupt Misfortunal. So I like that pick as an answer, and new Hecarim coming through as well.
Yeah, so once again, I mean, Team Wash drafting something that looked pretty similar to what we saw on Red side in our last game of the day. Hecarim plus teammates that lets him run things in a straight line. As we move on to the second half of the draft phase, what are you looking for these two teams to try and pick up to round out their compositions?
So I think that Seraphine is best as an awesome dude or mid laner, so I would expect to see that not go support. And if that's the case, I want to see a support with engage. Hecarim is nice to go in, but he's really committed. He has to sort of send his body in there. So I'd like to see Maokai's band, but maybe a Leona or a Nautilus or something along those lines, something that can help him go in, but also has maybe a less committed ultimate to look for picks. And then inside of RLS, I really like their teamfight comp, but I would like to see some methods of maybe disengage. I know Janna's banned, but you have really good fights already when they're on your terms, and so finding a way to instead avoid fights on your opponent's terms when Hecarim comes in with Seraphine would be ideal, but I don't know what disengage options are left.
Yeah, and the Silas gonna be picked up for Wednesday. A fantastic character when you look at what Really Late Signup has drafted. 3 incredible ultimates for the Silas to pick up. I'm not entirely familiar with the mid lane matchup. I know Silas, tends to fluctuate pretty wildly whether or not it's going to be an effective match. They're going to lock in the Skarner, which I think commits a Mumu to the support position. So RLS doing a little bit of, role swap trickery here. What are they going to lock in to round out their composition? Going to be either a mid or a top laner, and it's the Scion for Kieri, a classic.
Yeah, that's 100% her Scion. She played it a lot last season when she was a starter for RLS. And yeah, so Silas beats Swain in terms of the individual matchup, just because it turns out Swain on a melee character like Silas is so strong. But Silas was recently nerfed this last patch, so we'll see if that affects the matchup. I would expect it's a little bit harder, and Swain has more wiggle room than he used to. And it's also much easier to play the Swain. And then we have the Aatrox last pick. That should bully out the Scion a little bit. Scion should be able to survive, but shouldn't have pressure in the lane. I don't know. These are both really interesting drafts.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the top lane matchup between Kieri and PJ Salt. As a Scion aficionado myself, I myself have struggled with that matchup, so I'm excited to see Kieri take her spin on it and do what she can to come out ahead. But looking at the rest of the map here, I think that RLS has a much easier to execute composition, right?
I would certainly agree.
You sort of walk in a straight line and you press your R keys and hopefully someone dies. And we've seen that can be a very powerful and effective strategy throughout friend or foe. So I'm curious to see if Wash is able to sort of finesse their way through this game, because they do have some extremely powerful characters on their side of the field.
Yeah. And that is not a bug. Seraphine forgot to buy items. So hopefully notices. Yeah, looks like recalling already. Yeah, I don't like Seraphine support. I think Seraphine benefits quite a bit from having income and AP to really buff the team with those shields and heals, but their crowd control definitely will be good regardless, with Hecarim and Silas and Aatrox all going in. So it makes sense as a pick in this comp. And it's hard to engage onto Swain and Mumu, but it's also hard for, if your engage works, it's hard for RLS to get away. They don't have very mobile champions, so they have to be really aware of their positioning and make sure that they're not giving Wash a chance to take a winning engage, because honestly, neither of these teams really has a way to leave. So you have to be right the first time.
Right. And with that Seraphine working their way into the bottom lane, my expectation for this game would be to see Godx Enemy path down towards that direction. Because looking at this composition that Wash have drafted for themselves, they are really unlocked by the Seraphine healing, right? And if the Seraphine falls behind and is unable to sustain these sort of bruisery characters in an extended fight, I think that's where they'll start to struggle. So smartly, Godx Enemy going to start in the top side and path down. Meanwhile, War Leader, opposite side of the map, pathing up, perhaps to help Kieri.
And you can already see with Skarner doing Krugs and Hecarim skipping them, that Hecarim is opting for a much faster gank, and War Leader is optimizing for his second clear, giving him a ton more golden experience with the unlocked Krugs. So Skarner going to be playing the farming defensive role here, and Hecarim going to be the tempo setter for this game. I like that playing to bot lane here, but I want to see how Wash handles it, because yesterday against INT, they also tried to play to bot lane, but they had Nocturne that game, and the Nocturne level 6 gank bot lane ended up being flipped around by INT, and INT sort of snowballed off of that one fight and won the game as a little movement queue. It's just some trading.
Yeah, Freelancer, known to be an aggressive player, when he's put in that support role, and you can see already making stuff happen. Chunks both Erebus and Build a Pony down to half. PJ Salt, though, lands the full combo against Kieri. Again, Aatrox not that strong in the early levels, but once you start to rank up to like level 5 to like level 7 is when that combo starts to really, really chunk your health.
Yeah. One thing to notice here is there's a little bit low mana on the Seraphine, so maybe not that many spells. They don't know Hecarim is here, though. Hecarim... The wave is just pushing in, though, so there's no reason for RLS to have to walk up very far. And I think Hecarim might be wasting quite a bit of time. I think Hecarim should be giving up on this play and going to bottom crab. But we'll see if it works out. Nope, going to back out.
Yeah, I think that I like what Wash was trying to set up there. You saw them shove the first 2 waves to try and push in. But as I say that, meanwhile, the top side, PJ Salt looks way more vulnerable. Stun going to land from War Leader, chunking PJ Salt low and forcing the flash. So RLS pretty happy with that one. But Godx Enemy has returned. Big damage coming out of the Build a Pony, but here comes the E. Godx Enemy gonna take enough damage. The flash forward from Erebus secures the kill, and first blood over to the Wash.
Yeah, a nervy little bait there from Build a Pony on Seraphine. I expect that he was intending to bait, but maybe not bait so hard he had to flash away. But it works out. Summoner trade's pretty even and come out a kill ahead. Top side, the wave is not great for Aatrox because it was shoving out when he got ganked, but it will at least live. So a good start for Wash. I think if you ask them if they can get this game state for the game, they would take it. Godx Enemy is still ganking.
Ooh, taken very low with the flash. RLS Ruby completely outplaying that and picks up a free kill.
Yeah, as a jungler, oftentimes it's like, oh, the tower range is that long, really? And you're just trying to get a drive-by, damage off while you go to your top camps. But yeah, that's a small mistake that'll lead to a big edge here for Ruby. It does blow both summoners in mid lane, so Wednesday not absolutely out of it. But yeah, definitely a mistake. And Godx Enemy, I think this season has been making quite a few uncharacteristic mistakes. I think last season looked really good. Definitely a top half jungler in the league. And then this season has just looked... I don't know if it's out of practice or out of sync with his team, but hasn't been in nearly as good of positions and has sort of had these weird deaths on ganks that don't look synced with the team. So I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if that's a team communication issue or a practice issue or what, but it's definitely something I've noticed this season. That Godx Enemy has not looked nearly as good as last season, and we know he's capable of more.
I mean, that looked to me very much like a Mr. Barwell special. I played in many a flex game where Mr. Barwell says, "I'm gonna gank this mid lane," and I say, "Oh, are you sure about that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And then we see first blood, and my opponent has double buffs for the rest of the lane, and I'm like, "All right, well, I mean, what can you do, I guess." But
yeah, sometimes your jungler gives, and usually if it's on your team, he takes away.
Yeah, I mean sometimes, but looking back at this game here, I like this positioning from RLS moving up, just trying to get some vision down, are able to narrowly get the crab and get out of there before remaining members come in. PJ Salt again crashing a wave and again in a vulnerable position for War Leader to walk in here. Ultimate's popped. Big damage onto PJ Salt. Will they be able to get the stun? There is no flash available, so this knockup is guaranteed. PJ Salt gonna go down, but will he turn it around? Just not quite enough. War Leader just barely is able to secure the kill. Meanwhile, Ultimate's traded in the mid lane. Ruby gonna be okay. No! The E will land. Wednesday picks up the solo bolo as the team does Dragon.
Yeah, and that's the summoner edge from Hecarim gang. So Hecarim can say, it wasn't completely in vain. I did something. But definitely mostly on Wednesday there. Great play. Top lane, Aatrox almost living. If I'm counting camps correctly, I think the scoreboard is frozen again, because I think both junglers have more than a full clear worth of camps. But yeah, actually really nice pathing from War Leader, just full clearing bot to top a couple times. So he's definitely up camps on his Hecarim, and is getting ganks off in this top side to keep carry in the game and not getting bullied by Aatrox too much. But we have Freelancer going in, but Hecarim's here again.
Great. Yeah, fantastic play. Bill the Pony just looking juicy, and that's just enough to get this play going off. Godix Anime taken very low, though. Erebus under tower. You can see those empowered shots are really, really scary, and they're ultimately not able to find Freelancer. But still, both of these teams, really committing to the strong side of the map that they want to influence. Yeah,
I was actually wrong. Hecarim does have equal farm to War Leader. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say a lot of that's lane farm. So I think I've been watching their clears, and I think that Skarner should have taken more camps.
I mean, regardless of where they should or shouldn't have been, you have to admit that continuing to play up towards that top side, where PJ Salt seems eternally stuck exactly where you do not want to be, which is right here as a character. You can see Kieri doing her absolute best to try and keep the lane in that position for as long as possible. Makes it very difficult for top laners to try and live a gank, because there are two angles of attack. And it's very dangerous. Has now purchased the pink ward, so is going to be okay in that instance. But
if you can get away with it as the stronger laner, it is really nice to get this pressure, though, because it stops a lot of Herald plays, and it stops Skarner, who's clearing bot to top, from invading Hecarim's top side, because Hecarim's clearing bot to top to bot. So oftentimes will not be there as soon as his top camps are respawning. But yeah, so you have to be able to strong enough or have good enough vision to get away with those. And Hecarim going top lane here. All his bot camps are up, so this is an expensive gank if he goes for it. Nope, we'll choose to back out.
Actually, we'll choose to take the Rift Herald, which I think might work out, as PJ Salt is laying on the hurt. Full combo on Kieri Alexion. Gonna take her down to half HP before she's able to respond. Wednesday, though, completely caught on rotation, totally stunned up. War Leader gonna be able to pick this one up. Godix Anime coming in to try and save the play, but does not do nearly enough damage. And Ruby looking pretty good this game. 2 kills picked up.
Yeah, and a level lead in the jungle as well for War Leader. That's the extra gold and experience from getting more advanced Krugs going through. So people think Krug sucks as jungler if you're ganking jungler. Probably true, but don't overlook them as a farming jungler. They're great.
Yeah. And you can see that now Wash, in order to prevent this Rift Herald from being taken, have rotated both of their bottom laners up here to try and commit to it themselves. Kieri Alexion might just die here. Ultimate Pop forces the flash right away. But meanwhile, on the bottom side, free plates coming over to RLS.
Yep, that's the trade for this Herald. So the Herald will have to get those plates back for this to be worthwhile. But good awareness from his bot lane. And Skarner's here. So is Seraphine.
Oh, the flash forward, is it enough? No, it's not. PJ Salt just slightly overestimating the damage. Maybe didn't calculate the shield in. War Leader now sitting in brush, but Godx Anime also here. And with 3 members committed, it's going to be too much. Godx Anime actually going forward might be able to get Kieri just living. And Godx Anime completely cut off from the team.
Oh, no.
Unable to secure the kill.
Another disaster gank. And this is what I'm talking about. He just looks not quite on the same page. He's diving past this tier 1 tower when the team is, cut behind the wave. And it's close. It's not like these are, intentional feeding or anything like that. But just not quite working out, and the result is disastrous. This is also a lethality Hecarim, by the way, so it's going to be going for some one-shots. I'm excited to see that, actually. I've mostly been seeing Bruiser Hecarim recently, and that was what we saw last game.
Yeah, definitely an awkward spot for the side of Wash. Just haven't quite been able to, nail those plays. And had they nailed those plays, right, had Kieri gone down, perhaps having built the pony shift past the turret to help provide a heal and maybe secure the kill, they would be ahead in this game. However, with those couple of missteps means that we're still in a dead even lane state. And both teams now eyeing up this dragon spawning in about 10 seconds.
All right, I have a build soapbox about Aatrox to get on. I'll get on it after this dragon when we have more time. But I think Aatrox players don't look at their full build options well enough. But first we have the dragon set up. RLS is here first. They have control of this choke point. That's going to be hard to get through. It's a Mumu misfortune.
Yeah, and Freelancer duking it out. Now, is support a Mumu, so doesn't have the health. Ultimate comes through from Chronic's enemy, but he's so squishy. Gonna go down before the fight even begins. Build a pony now on the run, and this is the trade-off. If you go for that lethality Hecarim, you don't have the health to stay in the fight, and bursted before they can even get those heals off.
Yeah, and goes in too early. Mid lane was still rotating, bot lane was still rotating. You see the Seraphine ult at the end trying to go off of the Hecarim into everyone on RLS, but Hecarim was already dead. So just, again, another desync from the Wash jungler. And I don't want to keep harping on this because I don't think it's entirely the Wash jungler's fault. I want to be clear. I think Galaxy Anime is a really good player. I think a lot of it's communication, but this shows just how important communication is to the jungler role. I mean, if you're not on the same page with your team, you can look really stupid, even if it's not even your fault. Even if you called, "Hey guys, collapse now," 10 seconds before, and your team didn't move. So definitely a rough one for Galaxy Anime here, but yeah, definitely still a good position for Wash. I mean, they have, despite being down 2 kills, they're even in gold. They have this really advantageous top lane state. They're even in farm bottom with 2 kills in this Tristana. So, I think Wash is not unhappy with their spot. Let's see if this Herald can get this top tower. It should be able to.
Yeah. It's just a very interesting position to be in, to be sure, because they have access to the Seraphine. So in my mind, the strength of Team Wash should be like sustained fights. But as we're seeing, with this itemization, they're actually going to be like pretty squishy and like pretty volatile. Erebus taken kind of low here. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be totally behind this game. They've managed to keep the game pretty much dead even, and a 20 CS lead in the top side is something they can look to push forward into. Right now, though, both teams sort of in a bit of a lull state as we wait for the next objective to arrive.
Okay, so let's talk about builds a little bit. So Aatrox, he's going for the Eclipse build. This is a modern innovation. It gives you, maybe we don't have time for this, build opponent getting engaged on.
It's going to be okay. Great use of the Blast Cone.
So this is a modern innovation where a lot of bruisers are building lethality items. The movement speed is really nice in combat. It lets you stick to people, and it gives you enough damage to one-shot while your base stats are tanky. Aatrox specifically, though, I really think should build a slow item because Aatrox gets so much value out of lifesteal tanking. So I really want to see either, I think Stridebreaker first is really underrated on Aatrox, but more commonly, I think Cyrilda's Grudge is really good. It lets your non-sweet spot Qs slow, lets you stick to people and really bully out Scion, or even if you get in a squishy with a non-sweet spot Q1, lets you sort of walk up to them still. So I really hope we see Cyrilda's come out at some point. Another slow option people don't take is Glacial. So that's my crackpot Aatrox analysis. And then Skarner has an interesting build. I think Kira's okay. I think she just walks away. They're meatballs. They're fine. Skarner's going for a cheaper tank item. The other option is...
Ooh, Build a Pony might not be, though. Ultimate lands. Curse of the Sad Build Time actually gets annihilated. Erebus kills the one. Gonna jump onto Freelancer. A miscommunication means that Tef's ultimate is canceled immediately.
That's not
now
a miscommunication.
Erebus
That's a fantastic...
looking for more. Forces the flash. Gets the reset. But not able to find additional damage onto War Leader. And a huge pickup for Team Wash as they turn things around.
Yeah, that's not a miscommunication, though. I think there was a brief non-overlap of CC, and Build-A-Pony was able to buffer the Seraphine ult out and it comes through with the Tristana ult, so everything's canceled, everyone's charmed walking up, and that was a great combo from the Wash bot lane. And yeah, Skarner wins the 1v1 against Hecarim on the side, but Hecarim keeps Skarner out of the fight, and that's a big, big win for Erebus, who is poised to take over this game once we start grouping up.
Yeah, I mean, this Wash roster is actually looking to be the burst team in this match. I mean, they have an incredibly strong Tristana that they can now sort of look to rotate around lanes and figure out, which turrets they can knock down. Looks like they're going to be pathing towards this mid lane for the foreseeable future to try and set up for this dragon. Ultimate just going to be burned from Wednesday just to clear the wave extra quickly as both teams are wandering down to that bottom side.
Yeah, Saddlesalt should be back up for this dragon fight. Gotta imagine he wants a Mumu or Swain for the team fight, so no worries taking Misfortune ult there. And yeah, so back to this Skarner build. I'm a big Skarner fan myself, but my preferred build is the bigger Sunfire item into Black Cleaver. It really lets you brawl with people really effectively with Conqueror. And this is a cheaper version, so this is going to come online faster. But World Leader is definitely saying, I'm going to be, more of a low-budget tank, and I'm going to set up my team with ultimates occasionally. So maybe still see a Cleaver second here to brawl, but we expect to see him go into full tank afterwards.
Now, because they went for this Rift Herald, this does mean that Team Wash gave up position on the Dragon initially. Now they're set with a decision. Do they want to go for the Dragon, or do they want to keep pushing? With 4 people strong, this turret is going to fall immediately, and they have the Rift Herald to continue to push. Or am I mistaken? Yes, they do. They're going to go ahead and pop it in the top lane. So this is actually going to be a lot of structure damage down. 2 turrets picked up before the fight even begins.
Yeah, and they're backing up a bit, but I really like this. I think that one weakness a lot of FOF teams have in both leagues is they go to Dragon and fight, but they don't know if they don't want to fight Dragon, what the most effective way is to give that up. As PJ Salt's getting flanked here, is his team going to be able to save him?
Yeah, team is here in the choke point. Ultimate's only going to land onto 1. Ruby now in the center of 4, but doesn't have the team to back things up. So it does look like on this side of the map, the red side is going to win. Meanwhile, PJ Salt going bananas in the backline, solo kills Tef, and at the end of the day, a 3 for 0 in a very strange transition.
Yeah, who's flanking who there? I mean, you had PJ Salt getting collapsed on by 3, and then the rest of his team comes behind those 3, and it's sort of a sandwich of both teams with several layers. But Wash comes out on top. They had the gold lead there, and they're able to catch RLS unawares on the flank. So good move by them. But as I was saying, I think a lot of teams don't know what to do when they give up Dragon. So this was really intelligent by Wash to recognize, hey, we can get more of an advantage by going not to this Dragon. We can get a bunch of tower damage, and this gold lead will let us get more Dragons later more easily than fighting this one right now. So I like the decision, the fact that they're willing to get something else and not just walk to Dragon and stare at the enemy team while they take it.
Yeah, and you can start to see the gold pile up. Tristana just now completing that Phantom Dancer, becoming incredibly powerful. And one of the things that RLS is going to struggle with, I feel, in this game is that they have really great initiation tools, but they don't necessarily have great initiation tools onto Tristana, right? Yeah. It's incredibly difficult to dive into the backline and really pick out that key member. And so, as you say, the gold is going to last a long time for this Wash team because the gold is on the right people. So I think that it was smart decision making and sets them up for this next objective. Baron is on the table.
I think your goal against this Tristana is going to be to have Tristana overstep in a fight and then have Skarner flash ult. But that does involve Erebus messing up. Now, it's really easy to mess up on Tristana. Sometimes Tristana jump feels a little bit like a miniature Malphite ult. So, we'll see if he gets a little bit too hypey at some point. But I think that's the window you're looking for. You're looking for Tristana out of position, and then we counter-engage with Mumu ult, with Swain ult, with World Leader flashing onto Tristana and CCing her.
Okay, so it does look like they're going to back up from the Baron position, but this does mean, because of the time it takes to walk all the way around, this is going to be some good chip damage on the mid lane turret. But both teams in a very scary position there. Some great warding from RLS let them know that the Baron was on the way. and that prevented what could have been a disaster of a sneak. So both teams going to walk away with nothing traded too seriously, but it was definitely a tense moment there.
For sure. And I think Wash is just going to keep vision of this Baron and then go take the next dragon. I don't think that they're going to play too aggressively. So, and I think RLS, if they're smart, should recognize that, hey, we're down almost 6,000 gold. Let's try and get as many waves and tower damage elsewhere as we can without fighting this dragon. I think maybe, I don't know what you think about this, actually. I'm curious. In my opinion, there's sort of 3 types of leads in League of Legends. There's like a tiny lead where it's like, technically if we play perfectly and we're up, 1,500 gold, we should win every time, but like no one cares. Like no one ever plays that perfectly. And there's like a mid-stage lead where it's like maybe 3,000 or 4,000, where we're behind. We can only take certain fights that are miracle fights, and we should try and take fights when we're up item spikes, but be very cautious. And then there's like we're giga behind, which is more than that. And that's like, we want to fight as late as possible, as rarely as possible. We want them to dive us under a fountain so that we can get as many extra towers hitting them as possible. And I think RLS might be on the 3rd kind of lead here, but I don't know. Do you think that this is the type of lead where you can hit a 2-item spike and say, hey, we're down?
I definitely think that it sort of depends on the scenarios here. And as we what RLS would really like to do is they'd like to find one person and burst them out with all the crowd control and then hopefully take an unfair fight. But they're not giving that option. That said, they are smartly going to go ahead and pick up the mid turret finally, as Wash has transitioned to this dragon. But it's looking real close. War Leader going to get ulted out of the pit, not able to make it in time. Oh yes, it is stolen by Tef as the fight begins. Freelancer taken very low. A huge mess of champions. This is where Ruby and these AoE ultimates can be really powerful. Build a Pony sort of off to the side, unable to get that extra healing, but PJ Salt is back into the play, and he's absolutely massive on the Aatrox. Ruby now taking extremely low, 3 kills picked up for the side of Wash, but Kieri now in a ton of trouble, going to get run down by the full force of the red squad. So they take the dragon, but at what cost?
Yeah, and Miss Smite from Galactic Anime, if you watch the promo video, the second random ultimate that's stealing away his dragons. In this case, it's actually not really his fault. He has to smite a little bit early because War Leader can get in the pit and smite early and have a Misfortune ult finish it off for him. So he's trying to get it perfectly and unfortunately doesn't quite hit it. But yeah, one fight. Erebus does go down, and so you can see they do have the damage if Skarner gets on top of this Tristana to bring down the Tristana, but there's no answer for this Aatrox at this point in the game. They blow everything trying to get Tristana, and Swain doesn't have the sustained damage. Misfortune without ult doesn't have the sustained damage, and Aatrox eventually cleans everything up. So I think that's a Wash favored result, but that is soul point for RLS, and that gives them a major out in this game, because if they can somehow get a pick before next soul or get a steal on next dragon and get the soul, that gives them a huge boost of power back in this game, and that'll completely ignore the 7,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and what they really want is they want to enable Sion and Swain to stay in these fights for as long as possible. And that's what that Ocean Soul will hopefully enable them to do. But, I mean, you have to prefer Wash's setup here, as this Tristana is rapidly closing in on this Infinity Edge, and as you said, it's just becoming like so difficult to take these fights because they have entered that category of lead where it's just like, we're good stat check. That said, War Leader with a great catch will pick up Build a Pony. Now the push forward, a double kill for War Leader. The stun interrupts. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. RLS, they find the exact moment that they need to be in the river, and they pick up 3 kills.
Yep, they had a 3v4. Wednesday wasn't quite there yet, and they're able to get on top of the Seraphine before Seraphine can ult. So great target selection and great knowledge of this is the type of pick we have to be looking for. And they get it. I think that's Baron, but we'll see when we come back to live. But yeah, just sitting in a bush, has vision control. I want to see, how does he get onto Seraphine?
I think Seraphine face checks. Godix Enemy doesn't even
he
look.
feels safe. He feels safe because his team had just been there.
Oh, man. And then from there, this is exactly the chain lockdown that this team can do.
Yeah, no, he Build the Pony felt safe because his team had just walked through there, but his team hadn't checked that bush, and so he had to be a little bit more respectful. PJ Salt is winning the trade in the bot side, but I think that's Baron.
Yeah, I mean, RLS comes up huge, 3 kills picked up. Will allow them priority here. PJ Salt doing what they can, but this is one of the things about Aatrox Sign is that Aatrox is extremely powerful in the lane. You can go up 40 CS, but it is so difficult to actually convert that into towers taken. And Kieri has done a wonderful job of holding her own in these side lanes, playing the weak side quite well.
Can I just say how well World Leader has been playing this Skarner game? He's playing a melee character against a team that's been up the entire time. He has to go in, but he's been finding these angles. He's been finding these little pockets of vision to go in, and he's 7-1. I mean, he's really doing a lot for a champion that, if you just look at the kit, I mean, Skarner is not known to be, a high agency primary engaged champion. So kudos to World Leader here for really putting on a show, and he's keeping RLS in this one.
Yeah. So Baron buff picked up for RLS. Now they are still down about 3,000 gold. So it looks like they're going to look to just push out their side lanes and maybe try to pick up this bottom turret as a free sort of objective to take. They do still have to be extremely cautious though, because they can still get stat checked in this stage. So even though they've gotten the Baron, it's not a guarantee they're going to be able to be safe, as we see Kieri. Kieri is...
No flash.
Oh?
Ulting toward the base, but Tristana's going to get her. I don't think... Yeah, there's no way Sion can get out of this one.
Yeah. Will distract 5 members of the team, though, which does allow... a big push from the top side. Will get at least 2 towers for RLS, but Kieri, unfortunately... just going to be taken down very easily.
Wash, I think, wants to guarantee this dragon. They're willing to give up some towers to guarantee that they don't give Ocean Soul over. I think that makes sense, but if you think back to earlier, when Wash was getting 2 towers for dragon, they've actually had to trade it back here. They've actually given up 2 towers in order to get position on this dragon. So it actually evens out in the long run.
Yeah. War Leader gonna get a stun. Ultimate used, just gonna shut down one player. That's exactly what you need for RLS. Huge damage coming out from Godix Enemy, but it's not... Oh my goodness, the 4-man ultimate! But it's not quite enough to secure the kill. There's too much tankiness on the side of RLS right now. They're able to push forward, build the pony in full retreat, and War Leader is just an absolute monster on Skarner this game.
That was a 4v5. Kieri was still dead. She just teleported back in. But yeah, Tristana not able to get enough damage off on the people she had to hit. There was too much AoE going down, and that might be Ocean Soul. I think you still have to take this fight. Your Tristana is super strong and available. Your opponents have just used all their big teamfight ultimates. I think you take this 3v4, but man, that's tough.
Yeah, it's so hard to get in. Look at the great area control from Ruby and Kieri, able to just zone out and consolidate that Ocean Soul for the side of RLS, and I gotta say, they're looking pretty good in the last couple minutes.
They really are. They've turned it on, and
the ultimate's back up again. Oh no!
And Erebus flashes there too, so he forces Skarner to flash onto him, and then instead of just letting himself die, he flashes away and still dies. So that's not up for next time either. Man, this is not looking good for Wash anymore. It looked so good for so long, but lethality Hecarim is starting to fall off a little bit. This Skarner is a menace, and the AoE tools from RLS are online. The Ocean Soul will really let Swain, Skarner, and Sion tank everything. I'm really like this for RLS, this mid game they've had.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been playing so smart about what fights they take, where they can stand while behind, and it's starting to pay off. For the first time in a long time, they've taken the gold lead back. And these characters are online now, right? Like, Ruby with the Ocean Soul has the health to just stand and take several auto attacks back to back. Tef starting to look extremely powerful as well. Just completed the Infinity Edge on the Misfortune. So, these carries are online, and it seems to me like Wash just doesn't have the damage to secure a kill.
Yeah, the silver lining, at least PJ Salt is building Sterildas here, going third, not second, but he heard me. But War Leader, 6th best jungler in the league, is absolutely showing Wash why that's so.
You love throwing that one in there, don't you?
Yeah, he's the 6th best jungler in the league.
Incredible. Incredible. Well, minute left on Baron. Hopefully this game doesn't go to Elder. I don't think either team would like to coin flip for that. But we're going to see teams start to move towards the top half of the map now. I like what Team Wash has set up. They've got some pink wards already in their own side of the jungle, and this allows them to safely move in here and maybe push a little bit deeper as well. Going to get that mid lane pushing to make sure they can walk in safely. That said, War Leader on the hunt again, though. Going to get the slow. Wednesday has Skarner ultimate.
Look at Misfortune inventory. Misfortune has bought a red pot. So RLS thinks this is the game-deciding fight, is what that says to me, because Misfortunes could be going for a Sterildas to make the ult slow, or a Zeal item to have more attack speed, but instead saying, no, I need 500 gold right now, and as gold efficient of an item as I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, though, because if you win this Baron push, you are guaranteed probably an inhibitor if you take it clean. Ultimate, though, popped on War Leader, but he's so tanky. It's not enough a 3-man knockup from the Seraphine, but all of that, and for what? Half health?
And they have Ocean Soul. They're going to heal it right back up.
Oh, man, and the Baron is started. Team Wash unable to find the pick that they want to do. Now they have to decide if they want to commit to this fight anyways. Looks instead that they're going to push the mid lane. PJ Salt thinking about coming in here, but look at Freelancer's positioning. It's so good. Baron taken very, very low. Gonna be secured. It's Smite stolen. I can't believe it. GodX Anime comes up huge, but meanwhile, look at the rest of the fight. Freelancer taken very low. Wednesday is living for so long.
Getting killed up.
Ultimate. This is very close. Tef is alive. Tef is alive. And they managed to turn it around. RLS, they lose the Baron, but win the fight.
I thought Tef was dead. Erebus jumped on him, but War Leader gets the Skarner off again. Oh my goodness, War Leader is absolutely a menace this game. I think that's game over. 5-man ace, they teleport bot lane. Oh my goodness. That was a great smite stuff from GodX Anime, redeeming himself with the dragon earlier, but it might not be enough without the ultimates from the attempted pick earlier. Wash didn't have the tools to win the team fight. They were so close, but close does not quite get it to you. And it's close. They're up in 5 seconds.
5 seconds for respawns. I think that this is going to be it, though, because Tef lived the 100 health. It's going to be enough. They're going to body block their way through. GodX Anime trying to get on to Tef, but it's not enough. And RLS picks up another W. What a heartbreaking defeat for Wash.
Absolutely. It was not even a single obvious mistake. It was just getting picked a little bit here, not quite playing as a team there, and RLS takes full advantage. They take a couple little picks, and they get a Baron, they get a Dragon Soul, and eventually the game. And man, what a performance from War Leader. Everywhere on the map somehow. He is champion, like running around on 6 little legs, but somehow is always at the right place, always ulting the right target. Yeah, gotta be War Leader MVP.
Yes, then the lethality full damage Hecarim. Like I don't know, man. Like if you're thinking about who you want to pick in this game, if you're looking at your MVP, like I only see one choice, to be honest. But
I totally agree.
But I mean, I will say that was an exciting match to watch. Another wishy-washy, which I know Wash might enjoy. Unfortunately, they did end up defeated. But I think both teams have moments to be proud of in this game. Like I think that the early game that Wash executed, Erebus on the Tristana looked very practiced, looked very good for most of that game. And it was just a couple of things here or there that I think that they can fix going into the second half of the season.
Absolutely, and I've been saying it in my power rankings all season that Washed, like individually, pound for pound, is absolutely a top 1 or 2 team in this league. It's just the team play is not quite there, and it's not like it's totally far away, but it's just not quite there, and you see it in little moments like this game.
All right, well, that's going to do it for myself and Utility Monster on the broadcast. Stay tuned for an interview from our winners and the rest of the matches today. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here with our second interview of the day, joined by the regent of the RLS, the Ruby League server, Ruby, joining us after the big win for really late sign-up, the latest RLS iteration here in Fenderfo. How are you feeling after the win?
It's feeling pretty good. I get to tout my 100% win rate in heroic still, as I've been trading games with Cowrie, so that feels nice. The game was a little tough, but we bring these back.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, let's set the table first. Coming into the game, the drafts pretty interesting. Misfortune did get the Omega buff on this patch, and then so that was in the hands of Tef. You yourself were piloting Swain, and then we had Skarner and Scion for the top side, and then Mummy in the bot side with the MF, and then on the other side, the Silas was your lane opponent, and then we saw the fearful, the powerful, the Seraphine Tristana on the bot side for them. And so talk to me a little bit about the draft overall, what you folks had thought about and envisioned for this, and what you ended up against.
For sure. Our first pick of MF, it's just got buffed. It's really strong right now. I do have to give a lot of credit to draft to our coach, Jeff God Gamer. It's a coach diff, if I'm honest. The Tristana Seraphine is always going to be scary with a easy dive, just you move fast and you kill them quicker. But with a Mumu Swain, we had enough self-peel and lockdown that we could probably take fights decently. Our damage was a little low, and coming into Hecarim, Richard was a little uncertain of what to play, and I'm like, Richard, Skarner's open. And he checked in the websites of Faith, Lollytics. We had nothing for stats, and he locked it anyways. And
you had the faith.
That
Faith
Skarner is insane today.
It was just a Lollytics Skarner difference, I think, in the end. We can all agree.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the game itself. It was looking good until it wasn't for the likes of Team Washed. Very, very slippery game that slipped out of their hands and into yours, and then you caught the throw here. It feels like in the mid game. What was your feelings? What was the team's feelings in this mid game? And were you folks super concerned at what was going on in the game, or did you feel like, oh no, we will scale into the positions that we need to?
Our main concern was damage and heal cut, because with a Seraphine and an Aatrox and a Silas, and if Tristana builds heal, we don't have a lot of damage, and we don't have a lot of ways to build heal cut in this game, which was concerning throughout the whole draft plan through the first 10 minutes. I got a really lucky pull onto God X Anime, which got me a kill and kept me even in lane with Wednesday. After the solo kill, though, it was a lot of just playing safer macro, waiting to scale up. Of course, Aatrox has been scary the whole game, and until I got heal cut on third item, it was looking a little concerning. We had faith through the whole game, and by the end of it, we pull through.
I think, pardon me, I think the most telling thing was at the end of the game, Bill the Pony did get the nasty, conga line choke point ultimate across on you folks, and I think he hit all 5 of you legitimately, but War Leader and Kiri were both in front, and they were unmovable. I think in the end, they barely got War Leader down to half health. You guys were like, neat trick,
yeah.
We're gonna go do this here, Baron. And
yeah,
go ahead.
They burned so many cooldowns. They burned Silas ult, they burned Seraphine ult, and they did nothing to our health bars. So we get a free Baron take and a free turn into winning the game.
How many did you guys have a quad Ocean, or did you only have 3?
We had 3 Ocean, if I remember correctly.
Okay, yeah. Still pretty nuts.
Still insane, by all means.
Yeah. So, and let's finalize this by doing a little light razzing of your teammate Tef, who looked really good. I would say, honestly, the beneficiary of Freelancer's great play on the Mummy with the Curse of the Sad Bullet Time. But great positioning by Tef to get these sick, nasty ultimates off. Just raining fire across them, honestly, in the late game once had more items. just was truly just dealing massive amounts of damage. But you, my friend, were silently, just methodically dealing damage across the whole game, just being out there doing Swain things with the Rylai Andries combo out there. And in the end, a tally for Tef of 20,421, not quite as fun a number, versus 20,547 for you. So how does it feel to just be, dumpstering this guy in damage? He's not even
I'm
close.
just better than Tef. What can I say?
Just built
The
different.
damage numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah. If he were better than you, he'd just do more damage. That's just how it works
Exactly.
in League of Legends.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Ruby, thanks so much for the interview. It's been fun. Your opportunity here before we step away. Any final thoughts to leave with us? Any shout outs? Any banter?
Big shout out to Freelancer for showing up and subbing. Big shout out to Kiri for subbing in after Spencer says on day of. He's like, hey, I'm busy. I'm like, okay. That's a little concerning thing to come into. And just one more thing. I've been watching RLS be playing for the last 3 seasons, from Mythic to Heroic, and now back into Heroic. And I just have one more final thing to say. Another dub for the Ruby League server. Thank you very much.
There it is, folks. All right. We'll be back soon with Game 3.
See you around.